Hi, I'm Phil Dunn, and I'm going to demonstrate a way to build a planting bed right on top of weeds, even kikuya, with a technique known as sheet mulching. You may know sheet mulching as lasagna gardening or no-dig gardening. By any name, sheet mulching allows you to create an instant weed-free garden without using herbicide sprays. This demonstration has 6 steps: choosing the site, preparing the site, installing the kikuya barrier, and 4, placing the hard layer, 5, filling with organic matter, and 6, planting and watering. Choosing the site. For fruit trees and vegetable gardens, the site should receive a minimum of 6 hours sunlight a day. If you're bringing in mulch like we are, you'll need good access, and fruit trees and vegetable gardens will need a reliable source of water. Preparing the site. It is good to identify what we have growing first. Here we have pampas grass, blackberry, paspalum, kikuya, and wild gladioli. Large woody plants like gorse, blackberry, pampas grass, privet, and ginger need to be cut, dug out, and taken away. I'm doing a pH test that tells me my soil is acid and lime is needed. Lime will be added. Both gypsum and lime help change the texture of the clay to make it drain better. I'll do another soil pH test after a year to see how the soil has improved. We've done our soil test and found that our pH is 5.3. So we need roughly a can of lime per square metre to bring our pH up, isn't it? Yeah, to bring our pH up to the right level. So we just sprinkle a can for around per square metre. And this can be done before we weed whip or after. If you're doing this in summer, you want to soak the soil well after putting down the lime and gypsum and before putting down the paper. Grasses and soft weeds need to be cut and left to lay. We're up to step 2 of the process. We've cleared the site, we've used the weed eater to cut down the grass, so now that will just lie on the top and rot down underneath the hard cover we're putting down. Now we're going to install the kikuya barrier. It needs to be at least 150 mm down into the ground and about 150 above, so about 200 to 300 millimeter of barrier. Today we're using long run iron. It's been lying around the property, so it's just the ideal product for the job here. So we've dug a trench around all the way around. We've just got this little bit here to finish, and we'll dig this, put the last bit in, and then we're ready to go to put the mulch right on top. Then we just neaten up the sides to give us a nice straight trench. So there we go. Nice straight trench. Play our long run roofing. Grain. We're ready to go. We're up to step 4 now, placing the hard layer. Traditionally, sheet mulch uses a lot of wet newspaper or cardboard in thick layers to cover the weeds to block out all light. Today we're using an organically certified product called Eco Cover. That is a heavy paper mulch mat made from recycled paper. Because we're doing a large area here today, 7 meters by 14, it will be difficult to source that much of cardboard. Eco Cover comes in a 2 meter wide roll with special pins to secure it in place. Both the paper and matting needs to last at least a year to kill the kikuya below. After this, the mulch and paper will decompose and can be rototilled in. We're up to the step now of putting the hard layer into the trench. So what we're doing, up against our metal barrier, we're laying the Eco Cover right down into the trench, like so, and then using our backfill, which we've dug out of the trench, back into the trench, hold it right into place. So that gives it a firm and secure, holds it firmly and securely into the trench. What we're using to hold down the eco cover today is eco pin. It's made from cornstarch, it's biodegradable, 100% biodegradable and 100% compostable as well. So you never have to worry about them being a contaminant in the soil. They just simply rot away into the ground over a period from around about 3 years. So they'll be in the ground for about 3 years and then they'll just rot away. So cornstarch, biodegradable and compostable. Easy to put in, just place them, put on the ground. It secures the mat until you're putting the mulch on top. Okay, now we're up to step 5, filling with organic matter. Traditionally, sheep mulching uses layers of grass clippings, old leaves, hot composted weeds and manure, hay, straw and shredded paper to cover the hard layer. We're using a Revital organic mulch from the concourse in Henderson. It's a heavier mulch, it's not such a compost but a mulch. It's been treated, heat treated, so it's weed free. So what we're looking at is putting it down to a depth of about 300 mils to give us plenty of depth on the material, so when it compacts down, composts down, we'll actually still have a good layer of material to plant into. So Betsy, we've done this demo plot today. Just why is it so important that we actually do something like this here in Rodney?
Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons. One of them is we've done this without herbicides, and so many people say, you can't do this, you can't kill kikuyu and blackberry without using herbicides. And we'd like to show that this is possible. The other thing that we've done here is we've shown people that this is a way to build an instant garden. They can plant it immediately and be away. So
this is something that we can do in our home backyard, that we can actually start growing vegetables almost instantly.
Well, you know, so many of these new subdivisions go in and they have that much topsoil.
Yes.
And they think, oh, I have to bring in topsoil. But actually what's better is to work in compost and lime, and that will actually physically change the clay into friable topsoil. It's becoming more and more important to be able to grow your own food at home. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with climate change and peak oil, and this is insurance. You know, have a vegetable garden, learn how to grow.
Yeah, and it's good for the kids too, isn't it? To see how veggies don't come from the shop; they actually come out of the ground. So.
Yeah, so true. And it's something that they could do this at schools. This would be a great way to start a garden at a school. Another reason that it's important is our soil is really typical of Rodney soils, and we could change marginal land into productive land if we do this. And in the future, I think there'll be a far greater need to grow biofuels, to grow and stock the local farmers markets, and just to grow your own food.
Yes.
Another reason to do this is after we turn all this in, next year after the wonderful paper stuff is decomposed and the mulch is actually broken down a bit more, we will have organic matter right here to turn into the soil, and when we do that, we sequester carbon.
Yes.
And we're going to be doing some tests to figure out how much carbon we've sequestered.
So those soil tests we did earlier today will give a benchmark as to what happens in 12 months' time.
That's right. So we're sending it off to 2 different places, both to have it analyzed in terms of nutritional value and also in terms of carbon and carbon sequestration. The very last reason to do this would be because of the City to Farm composting project. If we can create a market to use the mulch like this, then we start to create that driver so that city food scraps can come out onto rural land and be used.
Become productive and go back into the soil where it's basically...
well, you know what they're doing with all the food scraps now.
It's going into landfill.
Yeah, and it's making methane, and it's being wasted. I mean,
it's a resource we could use.
Absolutely. I mean, our soil test will invariably come back and say it has no phosphorus, no potassium, and food scraps are high in both of those.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Betsy.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. And thank you, EcoCover, for supplying the paper. Thank you, Perry Environmentals, for supplying the